We can't really use the word functions to parse the city, state, and zip into their proper locations because you could have a one word, two word, three word city name and you don't know where it ends. But we can make up our own word function using the position function. We'll go into the data viewer and take a look at that. So let's examine the position function. It has 4 parameters and it returns the number of what you're trying to locate. So how far in from the left is it? So we're going to look at that city temp field, right? We'll just take this out temporarily. That's what's in it right now, right? So we're going to say look into the city temp field and look for a comma. Perfect, right? Find out where the comma is because there's going to be no other commas in there, right? And then tell it where to start looking from, which is typically going to be a 1. You want to start from the first character. You could start off at the 10th character. You could put another function here that tells it where to start looking. And I've done that many times, but we're not quite there yet. We'll do that later. And then you need to tell it which iteration it finds. So we're telling it to find. So these are typically always 1s here, or in most cases 1s. You can see it's giving us a 12 here. So if we look at this, we'll see, if we put our cursor in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it goes right to this comma and it gives us that number. So we're working pretty good here. Now all we have to do, I'll just take these returns out. Now all we have to do is use this as our algorithm for our left function. And this is 100% one of the most common parsing things to do, combining left and the position, because you can define exactly what you're looking for. You're not under pressure to know all the word algorithms. You can certainly just say, oh, look for a comma. You'll look for whatever you want. Um, look for a return, look for this. So you've got complete control over how it works. So we're going to say left, look at city temp, semicolon, and then close this. And look what we get. We get Springfield with a comma at the end. Very simple to solve because it found the comma, right? We're just going to say -1. There we go. Now, if you want to be extra careful and say look for a comma and a space, then we'd have to put -2 here. Or actually, we'd still do -1 because it's going to, if you look for a comma and a space, you think, oh, it's going to land on the space. No, it still lands on the comma here. So you still only have to subtract 1 here. So depending on what you want to do, I'm going to take it down to much simpler like that. And that's our formula. Let's click OK. Let's figure out how to do the rest of it. Now it's actually pretty easy to do the zip code because it's always at the end. We just do rightwards. So we'll use rightwards again. This works fine here. City temp, semicolon 1. And as we know from before, even if we had zip +4, this is still going to work because the dash is not considered a word separator. So this will work in any zip code that you have. Now, what do we want to do if we want to grab the state? That's right in the middle. So one of the techniques we'll learn later, and actually let me duplicate this one, will be to use middle words. And I should say middle. And with middle, you have to provide the starting point. So you're still looking inside city temp, but you have to provide the starting point. And then you have to provide how far you want to go. So we have to decide how far is it we want to go. And that gets a little more complicated to do. That's why we're going to do this much easier method here, which will be middle words. Actually, we'll do rightwards. And we'll take a look at city temp. And we're going to grab 2 of them. That's going to get the state and the zip. And then we'll put around that leftwards, semicolon 1. And that's easy. So we could have gone with the more complicated, but it's about combining formulas and functions into the way that will make it easiest for you to solve a problem. So this will work perfect. We're going to click OK on that. We're going to grab this one first. Oops, I'm sorry, this one, because it's the most complicated. I want to copy and paste this so I can type the other ones. And we'll put these into our script. So that's going to happen down in here at the city. Now, city is going to have to be done last. Well, actually, in this case, we don't have to worry about it because normally we worried about doing the first name last, but in this case, we're putting into a variable. We're not actually erasing the temp data, so we don't have to worry about that order. So we can do it any order we want. So I can just put that right in there, paste it. There we go. Go to our state. That'll be our right words, semicolon 2. Then put the left words around it. Remember, FileMaker always works from the inside out. So it does this formula first. Oops, I didn't mean to do a return here. That happens when you don't go into this section here. I can do the returns here, but I can't do them in that right there. So put the returns there, put that there, there. So it always does this part first, the inside. Formulates that, returns it to the leftwards, and leftwards does its work. And then we'll come over to our zip and just say rightwards. And there we've written a parsing script. Now let's run it and make sure it works here. First I have to go and delete this stuff, otherwise we're going to get double. And we already know this works, but we'll just switch it back to what it was. There we go. And notice when you do a leftwards, it doesn't get the space at the beginning or the end. It'll get a space left, like I said. We'll just take a little aside here because this is important to know. If we go in here and say leftwards, name first, semicolon 2, it's grabbing this space that separates words, but not the one at the end. It doesn't grab that in there. It's very important to know. Word separators at the end of words aren't grabbed. So it might be a return character, a comma, something like that. In fact, if we come over here and put this comma right here, you can see that it doesn't grab it. It doesn't care about those word separators. It's not part of a word. Okay, so there we go. Let's go into our, I think we're ready to go. We can run that script now. There it is. Hit save to play it. There we go. Everything's been parsed correctly. You can see how it looks. So, whoops, we didn't get the state in the zip here. Well, let's see what happened here. What happened to our state in our zip? Let's see. Always love to leave this stuff in there so that it's, well, helps if you put city temp here. And it helps if you put city temp here as well. That's why we always test things, because it's easy to make mistakes, right? I'm not here to show you that I can do everything perfectly the first time. I'm not that way. There we go. Delete that, delete that, delete that. Cut this, put it back in here, and then run that script again. Hopefully it works this time. Hit play. Okay, there's a perfect. And we can see there's no extra spaces here. Always important to check for spaces that you might have grabbed on accident. You know, if it's more complex, like in this case, you might have gotten a comma or space, check that stuff. So there's your more advanced parsing. And the key here from this is to remember how this position function works here. And let's see, there we go, right there. So this position function allows you to make your own algorithm search for whatever you want, rather than being, you know, hogtied or your hands behind your back with the leftwards and rightwards, because they work the way they work. And this actually, in most cases, will be faster than leftwards and rightwards because this position functions fast, the left functions fast. So you've got speed and controllability on your side.